curriculum, because
That was good.
That was a good meeting.
that was a good.
Good
Good
stuff.
evening. The meeting of the Monroe Township Board of Education will come to order. Please stand as our student board member leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we have a roll call, Mr. Gorski?
Certainly. Mrs. Arminio,
Here.
Mr. Braverman, Mr. Chiarella, Mrs. DeMayo,
Here.
Mrs. Lang,
Here.
Mrs. Carino,
Here.
Mr. Ryback,
Here.
Mr. Russo,
Here.
Mr. Rutsky,
Here.
and Mrs. Koloponowicz.
Here.
Madam Board President, you have a quorum present this evening. In accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law, the Monroe Township Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted November 10th, 2017, at all schools, the Home News Tribune, Cranberry Press, and filed with the clerk of the municipality.
Thank you. At this time, we will go to the approval of the minutes for the Public Board of Education meeting of September 13, 2017. I need a motion. Mr. Ryback, and second by Mrs. Lang. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Recusals? Okay. Then we will go to the approval of the minutes for the closed session meeting of September 13, 2017. Mr. Ryback?
Second.
Ms. DeMayo? Any additions or corrections to the closed session meeting? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Recusals? None. Then we will have the approval of the minutes for the Public Board of Education meeting of October 18, 2017. Mr. Ryback?
Second.
Second, Ms. Arminio. Again, comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions or recusals?
I was
Recuse? Okay, Mr. Russo is recusing. And the approval of the closed session meeting of October 18, 2017.
So moved.
Mr. Ryback,
I'll second this.
Mr. Rutsky,
I was there.
you were there? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions or recusals? Mr. Russo is recusing.
So noted.
So then at this time, we will go to number 6 on the agenda, our presentation, and to continue with the MTEA Pride Grant promoting our programs offered in our schools. We're happy to have Brookside School with us. I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Albert.
Thank you. So just at the start of the school year, Hurricane Harvey left considerable destruction along the Gulf Coast of Texas. Many students in the Lumberton Independent School District and Houston Independent School District in Texas were left without school supplies just as their school year was kicking off. So with the help and support of our Barclay Brook Brookside PTA, our students, families, and staff at Brookside and Barclay Brook schools, they coordinated a supply drive to help families affected by Hurricane Harvey. I'm going to turn it over to our Brookside students who will explain what they did and show how big their hearts were this year.
Hi, my name is Johan Justin. Hurricane Harvey. In 5th grade, we learned about the 4 themes of social studies. This year, because of Hurricane Harvey, we were able to explore these themes by studying this tragedy. One of the themes is geography, people, and the environment. From these images, you can see how Hurricane Harvey affected the geography and people of Texas.
Hi, I'm Victoria Donaldson. Our mission, help the victims. Another theme of social studies is civics, government, and human rights. While the government was helping the citizens, we wanted to do something to fulfill our civic duty to help these in need.
Hi, my name is Hamsika Yadavali. Community connection. Our teacher, Mr. Carlo, found someone who was willing to drive a truck down to Texas. She partnered with a few other teachers and the Brookside Barkley Brook PTA to collect toiletries and school supplies to help schools in Lumberton and Houston.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Taylor. Everybody played a part in the project. Some of the activities that students at Brookside participated in were donating of items, organizing the products, filling book bags in an assembly line process, and writing letters of encouragement to those receiving the packages.
Hi, my name is Francesca Bruno, and I will be telling you about the results and reflection. We filled 251 book bags. In addition, several boxes of teachers' supplies were sent to students. Students felt like they were a part of the community.
I felt like I made a difference in the lives of the people affected by the hurricane. Mahatma Gandhi once said, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." Everyone should do their part to make a difference when natural disasters occur. My name is Liam.
Oops, I don't think we're stuck there. Well, I want to thank the Brookside School students and staff and Mr. Pepe, who is the principal of Brookside School, for your kindness and your generosity to those who were less fortunate and had to deal with the after effects of the hurricane. So thank you very much for what you do and for the PTA's help. Thank you. At this time, we will go to another presentation on harassment, intimidation, and bullying. Dr. Kozak?
Thank you, Madam President. That's a tough act to follow, Madam President. From going from a very nice report for the students, we are going to our biannual report on the harassment, intimidation, and bullying in the school district. This covers the reporting period of, there's two reporting periods during the year. There's January 1st through June 30th is reporting period 1, and then July 1st through December 31st is the second reporting period. And this report is period 1. HIB is harassment, intimidation, and bullying. And basically, it means any gesture, any written, verbal, or physical act, or any electronic communication, whether it is a single incident or a series of incidents, that basically, I won't read through everything, but if it addresses a protected class, if a student is singled out because of either race, color, religion, ancestry, or some of those other areas, that's covered under there. If it takes place on school property or on a school bus or any other school-sponsored activity, that counts. And this is important, if it substantially interferes with the child's education or the orderly operation of the school, that's considered HIB. It's also a reasonable person should know, under the circumstances, that the effect of the physically or emotionally harming a student or damaging the student's property. And it has the effect of insulting or demeaning any student or group of students or creates a hostile educational environment. The school district, we have HIB specialists in each of our schools, and the names of those HIB specialists are as noted. This report will also be on our website for anybody that wants to refer to it at a later time. So the district data for the report, that period one report, there were 24 reports of HIB, 18 were founded, 5 were unfounded, and 1 was inconclusive. The reports that sometimes there are HIB claims made, and they may be considered unfounded, but they may be thought to be addressed through our code of conduct. So it could be a disciplinary issue or result in disciplinary action, but it's not necessarily considered HIB. It could be considered a student conflict. Our confirmed HIB incidents. We had 11 at the high school, 6 at the middle school, and 1 at Woodland. When we look at the HIB reports, we break out the data so that we know, is it affecting any particular distinguishing characteristics or protected class. So that you can see for race, ethnicity, you can see what the numbers are. For instance, the high school, we had 3 accounts of that, 1 at the middle school. Color, 3 at the high school. Religion, ancestry, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, disability, other, and then there are the total numbers at the end. This is just simply a graph indicating what we just saw in numerical form. And this data is important to us because then our HIB specialists, who are primarily our counselors throughout the district, they use this data. They work with the teachers, the principals, they work with the administrators to look and see, are there particular ethnicities, people of color being targeted? And if so, how can we address this? And we look at our training, we look at our programs that we offer, our character education programs, and we make sure that we're addressing this, as well as if there is an individual case of HIB, or every case, I should say, many times, if not all, counseling is involved. Sometimes there's disciplinary measures, but it's really the remediation that we're concerned about. We want students, everyone makes poor choices, but we want students to learn from these choices to make better choices the next time. We also look to see, do we have repeat offenders? So we had 1 repeat offender at the middle school and 2 at the high school. And then again, we will work with those students and maybe increase the amount of interventions or services that we provide to ensure that these students are learning from their poor choices. The discipline is determined by our code of conduct, and remediation is provided for offenders and victims, and that's basically, counseling, making sure that they feel safe, that they are protected. This slide basically just shows that if you look at the very inner circle, it's the individual and the small group counseling that is, it's what, the services that we offer our students. At the classroom level, we have guidance, and we have lessons our guidance counselors offer. At the school level, we have assemblies and programs that we offer throughout the year. And at the community level, it says law enforcement, but I wanted to clarify, our law enforcement, our officers, they develop positive relationships with our students through our DARE program, or formerly DARE program, that they come in and work with our kids in the schools. In our high schools, some of our and throughout our schools, many of our security officers are retired police officers, and they develop relationships with kids. We want to develop those positive relationships, and we want the kids to understand that when they see law enforcement, police basically, or others, that they know they're a source of help, that they can go to them for assistance. We offer many HIB programs throughout the year. We have our Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights, the HIB Consequences and Prevention, Cyberbullying, Peer Relations and School Norms, Parent Education, Board of Education Training, Staff Training, Pro-Social Strategies for Bystanders. So let me explain what that is. Bystanders are sometimes referred to as upstanders. If students are not engaged in the HIB, but they're the bystanders, they're standing there watching it. We don't want them to just stand there passively and watch it. We want them to take an active role and to step up and step in and say, no, that's not okay. It's not okay to make fun of that person, or it's not okay to give that student a hard time. And then conflict resolution, and of course, our week of respect. Again, our target population, Board of Ed, district administrators, anti-bullying coordinator and specialists, teacher students, parents, substitute staff, bus drivers, and support staff. Are there any questions? You're so captivated.
Dr. Kozak.
Yes.
My question would be, if a parent feels that their child is being bullied, what should they do? How do they initiate?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So there's many different ways. I mean, the easiest way, if they're not sure what to do, I would encourage them to call the principal. Okay? Because principal or the guidance counselor, whoever they're most comfortable speaking to. On our district website, there's a whole section that HIB has covered. There are forms on there. But if they don't want to go through all that, the easiest thing is to contact either their child's teacher, the principal, the guidance counselor, and someone there will help them walk through the process of how to file that HIB claim.
Because it's separate than just, as you said, the
Code of
discipline.
Conduct.
So it has to be it's an actual specific route to take.
Well, it is. Now, you see that we have unfounded cases, right? So sometimes parents or students will say, hey, I've been bullied. Once that occurs, we have to, by law, we investigate. And during the course, sometimes information comes out that it wasn't bullying, but it could be referred to as I said before, a conflict resolution. Sometimes it's too hard to determine who started it. You know, one student may say that he or she's being bullied, but as the HIB investigators or coordinators investigate it, they find out that maybe it was on both sides.
Any
I thought
other
you were reaching for the
questions?
microphone. Okay.
We've been doing this for, 2 or 3 years now? No?
Yeah, a little bit longer than that since the law came out.
5 or 6.
Yeah, about 5 or 6, and actually they're looking to revise HIB, just modify it a little bit.
Have the cases in Monroe gone down?
You know, I don't have the longitudinal data to say that. I would say in the past 2.5 years that I've been here, I would say that it's probably about the same. It hasn't gone up, it hasn't gone down. In some cases, we've seen it go down where measures have been put in place. Certain times of the year, sometimes you see a little bit of a spike. But overall, for like the size of the district, I know I'm going to jinx this when I say this. You know it, but our numbers are pretty low. Yeah, and I think that is a direct attribute of our students, who I think are wonderful, their parents, really. I mean, the parents. I tell everyone this outside the district, in the district. It's amazing. Sometimes people see a big high school, big middle school, and they're like, oh, there's a lot of kids in there, and it's high school. You go through, if you drop something, somebody will bend down in here, help you out. They'll hold the door for you. They're mannerly, they're nice. Do kids make poor choices? Sure they do. You know, and that's what we're here for. We're here to help them make better choices. As adults, we make poor choices, right? So, but overall, I would say that it's a good atmosphere, it's a good climate, if your child's involved in it, you might say, well, geez, during that time it's not. But again, we try to remediate and try to make sure that it doesn't occur again.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Dr. Kozak? Okay, then we will move on with the agenda. Student board members report. Do you have a report this evening?
I do.
Okay.
Hello. So first of all, the fall sports are officially over. High school did pretty well. The Monroe Township annual coffee house was last night, and my friends were in it. They did very good. A lot of my friends, all seniors, were all accepted, all applied, and some are accepted. And I've heard that our senior year, is the most prepared class. So I thought that was interesting. Also, I'm a part of AVID, so one of our last AVID trips are this Friday to Rowan. And also, first marking period is over, which means Christmas break is coming soon. And yeah, that's it.
Soon. Okay, thank you.
And I'm
Yes, Michelle.
Stephanie, were you at the coffee house last night?
Yeah.
So two things about that goes to the HIB. I attended the coffee house last night. The whole area was full with students, and every time a student got up to perform, it was quiet. And the students were very generous. They were attentive. It was just lovely to see the quality of our teenagers and the children in Monroe. There was no one had to shush them or tell them to behave. There were tables of kids all over the place, and everyone was wonderful. And by the way, the talent was excellent, but it really impressed me. And I sent something to one of the moms that was running it, and I said I couldn't believe how gracious all the kids were, and how generous they were to their fellow students. So I think it's a testament to your class, and of course to the quality of the HIB programs and just everyone in general.
And our staff.
And the staff, of course.
If I didn't mention, I was just thinking about that.
Yeah.
It's also, our
Yeah.
staff.
There were
as well.
teachers there and everything, so I appreciate them, and the parents. The music parents. But it was very nice, and the students were terrific. So,
Thank you, Ms. Arminio. Thank you for your report. Committee reports. Are there any committees that need to report this evening? Mr. Mayo?
Yes. The curriculum committee met tonight, right before the board meeting, and we reviewed 2 curriculum documents. There's a new class called Business Principles and Practices. This kind of stemmed from the New Jersey DOE rewriting some of the business curriculum. They interviewed CEOs, and they found that employees, the new employees coming into their businesses, are in need of soft skills. These younger employees don't have the skills. I didn't know what soft skills were. They don't know how to be an employee. They're lacking communication skills. They're not, when something negative happens in the workplace, they have a hard time recovering from that. And so this class teaches kids how to be employees. It has an emphasis on business writing, how to hold job interviews. It's open to all grade levels, and they have a project where they do mock interviews with the students. So I thought that was an excellent class to start to send our kids out into the workplace. The other one we looked at was vocational skills and exploration. This is for 18 to 21-year-olds in our transitional adult program. It teaches them vocational skills, how to dress for an interview, things like internet safety, how to talk to people. It also talks to them about career discovery. What am I good at? What do I like to do? And how to be successful at the workplace. We also talked about UpDance. And what this is
We recently got a grant from Special Olympics, and this is for what's called Unified Sports. And what this is, it combines regular ed student sports and special ed kids. And UpDance has the dance team working with special ed students, and they practice with them, and the special ed and regular students really are enjoying this. Next year, we're looking for unified soccer, basketball, and track and field, and I think this is a great way to get all the kids involved in sports. We also talked about Safe Serve certification. We have a lot of exceptional culinary classes, and what this certification is, it's an industry certification. Every commercial kitchen has to have a food handler who has a Safe Serve certification. And so this is great for our students who are going out into the workforce and want to work in a restaurant or a commercial kitchen. Having this certification gives them a leg up against some of the competition. This certification is also great for kids who want to go into the culinary arts at the college level, because this certification will allow them to opt out of the Safe Serve class they have to take at the college level. And then we also talked about, Accelerated math. We are changing how we admit kids into the accelerated math programs. Accelerated math starts in 5th grade and in 6th grade, and the goal is to get the right kids in the program. We don't want to get kids into the program who have to leave the program, because that's really not good for children. We want them to be successful. So the 3 criteria to enter the 5th grade accelerated math program is they must get a score of 92% on the 4th grade district accelerated math readiness assessment that's administered in the spring. And they must meet a minimum of 1 or 2 of the following assessments: a final grade of 95 or better in 4th grade math, or a grade 4 spring MAP score of 233 or higher. And for grade 6, to enter at the grade 6 accelerated math, students need a 92% on the 5th grade district accelerated math readiness assessment, and 1 or 2 of the following: a final grade of 95 or better in 4th grade math, and a grade 5 spring MAP test of 242 or higher. And our supervisor of math, Sue Gasco, is going to be holding information sessions on this, so people can get more information, or if you're interested, you can contact her directly. We also had a discussion about homework. And, we have a homework policy which I reviewed, and this started when, my son had off for 4 days and he had 10 hours of homework. And there have been times in the past where we've gone on vacation and my sons have had to bring their backpack on the airplane with us. And I thought, we need to have a better policy on this. And the policy needs to be driven by the curriculum, because the teachers know what is required of the curriculum. And so I asked them to take a look at, how they would like to create a homework policy for the district that allows kids to have a break when we do have breaks, but without hurting the curriculum. So Dory and her supervisors are going to start working with the teachers to see what we can best create so that, kids aren't overwhelmed with homework, and homework has a purpose. They're not just getting homework to do homework, and give them a break. So that's it.
Any questions for Mr. Mayo? Okay. Ms. Arminio.
Quick question about homework. Isn't most homework driven by what the teachers feel is necessary for the curriculum? Isn't that already?
It is, but the goal is to look at how, instead of giving a homework assignment that is due on the Monday after, the winter holiday break, then
to change it and to make it due a couple days later so that they have, or to give them more time to do the homework so they don't have to do homework over the break.
Okay.
Anyone else have a committee report?
I do.
Oh, Mr. Rutsky.
Since the mic is here. We had a finance committee meeting on last Wednesday. And we talked about 4 topics, actually. First one is there was a presentation by Dr. Kozak and Reggie Washington, our technology specialist, for a new district app for the phone and the iPads. In looking at what our app currently does, or more specifically doesn't do, and its limitations, this new app called School Info App seems to cover a wider spectrum of uses. Most specifically, it allows for push notifications to go out by group, by class, by sport, etc. So you could sign up for whatever push notifications you want, and then it automatically shows up on your phone. You don't have to go into the app to get it, to get an update, to get a scheduling change. So all in all, the presentation went well. The app looks very interesting. Differential in price is nominal. It's $2,500 now for the current app, $7,500 for the new School Info app. As much as we discussed and we saw the presentation, we thought that would be a good recommendation to put forth for a change. So that is on for tonight's vote. We then went on to School Dude Maintenance. Is an app that we use to handle the online scheduling of facilities throughout the district, which is quite a task when you think about how many buildings we have, and inside of each building, how many rooms are being used for various purposes. So what's great is because of our affiliation with the New Jersey School Insurance Group, we are eligible for a 50% reimbursement on the cost of the School Dude Maintenance bill. So that's roughly $2,200 back to the district as a reimbursement. So that was always good news. And see, that's $2,200 towards the school app. So we're already chipping away at the extra $5,000. We went on to talk about the audit, and I've given a few updates to this point. The audit is nearing completion. And to this point, the auditors have had basically access to everything they need, and the business office, with regards to their internal controls and their day-to-day operations, they're striving for a perfect audit with no recommendations, no negative comments or errors. At this point in time, we have every reason to believe that that's what's coming soon. Hopefully in my next Finance Committee update, you'll get that official. So that's going very well. And then last but not least, we reviewed once again the adult education program, and we had Ms. Nomick come in and give us an updated presentation on how the fall semester is playing out. And so she came in with the updated schedule of class offerings, attendance numbers, enrollments, and we did a back and forth Q&A with her. Unfortunately, at the end of that, we deliberated, and there's only 115 roughly people participating in that so far in the fall. And if you double that, maybe that's 230 throughout the whole season, and at a loss to the district of about $30,000 for the full year. So I know in September we talked about letting the adult education program run through the full school year till June. But upon further review, it's the committee's recommendation to put forth the idea of shutting down the adult education program at the end of the fall semester. Always, of course, keeping in mind a willingness to bring it back if ever there's that opportunity, or if a better positioned program were to present itself. Truthfully, what really came about is that the senior center offers classes and the rec center offers classes, and for us to be a third option, we're just not getting enough usage. and for the $30,000 loss. So if we cut off this spring, it's a $15,000 savings, so to speak, to use backwards math. So that was the committee's findings, and that will be also possibly a recommendation later on in the meeting. So that concludes my finance update.
Thank
Unless
you.
anybody has questions.
No questions.
Excellent.
Ms. Arminio?
I'll give since Mr. Braverman isn't here, I'll give the policy committee update, and then I'll read a resolution.
Okay.
Would that be okay at that time?
Yes.
Okay. At the policy committee, we talked about several policies, physical exams for certified employees and physical examinations for non-certified employees. And I'll just read the Board of Education requires each candidate for employment who receives a conditional offer of employment to undergo physical examinations to determine whether the candidate is able to perform with reasonable accommodation job-related functions, and then pursuant to all of the laws and statutes of the state. The big change that we are instituting, or we're recommending to the board through this policy, is a drug test. And we will be paying for that drug test for the new employees. But we do want our new employees to go through drug testing. So that was the real change in the policy. And that policy for everyone's is on the agenda. It's 3160 and 4160. The other policy that we discussed was bed bugs. And I'll leave that for everybody to read. That's sort of self-explanatory.
Okay, did you want to read
At this time, should I read the resolution? Mr. Gorski is the chair of the Finance Committee, but he's
Mr. Rutsky
I'm sorry,
is the
what
chair
did I
of the
say,
fin-
Mr. Gorski?
That's okay.
You know, when you're on finance, okay, sorry, Mr. Rutsky is our honorable member from Jamesburg, and he is unable to vote on this, so I will read this on behalf of the Finance Committee. I hereby move that the members of the Monroe Township Board of Education approve the dissolution of the Monroe Township Adult Education Program at the conclusion of the 2017-2018 fall course schedule for reasons of economy, budgetary considerations, restructuring of program components in the Monroe Township School District, and for other good cause. The Superintendent of Schools and Business Administrator, Board Secretary, are hereby authorized and directed to take all necessary steps to implement this action by the Board of Education.
So moved.
She moved it.
She moved it. Second.
Second by Mr. Ryback. Comments or questions about the program? Then we will have a roll call.
Mrs. Arminio.
Yes.
Mrs. DeMayo.
Yes.
Mrs. Lang.
Yes.
Mrs. Carino.
Yes.
Mr. Ryback.
Yes.
Mr. Russo.
Mr. Russo?
Rutsky, he
Beg your
can't.
pardon. Boy, we're terrible. Mr. Rutsky.
I think we all need a nap.
Beg your pardon, Mr. Rutsky.
I believe I'm supposed to abstain.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Did you ask Mr. Russo?
Mr. Russo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, my.
And Mrs. Koloponowicz.
Yes.
Madam Board President, motion passes.
Thank you. Are there any more committee reports? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to public forum. Anyone from the public wishing to speak to the agenda, please come to the microphone and give your name and address for the record, and we will adhere to the 4-minute time limit.
Good evening, Chrissy Skirby, 21 Preakness Drive. In regards to the student enrollment, I just wanted to point out that between last year and this year, we have over 70 new students between Oak Tree and Applegarth. And I just want to point out to the board that while we're going out for the referendum for the new middle school and we're ignoring the issues of overcrowding at our high school and our lower schools, you really need to continue to watch the enrollment because the numbers are increasing every single month. 7 new students from last month until now at Applegarth, another new student in Oak Tree, every month we see these numbers rising, and we really need to be cognizant of what is going on in the lower schools as well as what we have going on at the middle school. Also, from what I just heard, I don't know what kind of homework policy Mrs. DeMeo is seeking. However, I want to ask the board to take caution into interfering with what our teachers feel are appropriate to teach our children. Homework helps children stay focused over breaks. We know we have a lot of breaks during the school year, and our teachers are given the task of getting through a very rigorous curriculum. Our students, our children, should not be taking all this time off without staying focused on what they need to learn. So homework is a very vital and important role that our children need to take part in. And I just ask the board, before you start making policies of what is going to affect what a teacher does and what a teacher feels appropriate in the classroom, you really need to sit back and understand that sometimes this is necessary to keep the children on task and on focus with what they need to learn to get to the end of the year to pass the many tests that we're asking them to pass. We have Park that we spend a lot of time getting ready for, and you know, the homework does help reinforce the curriculum. So I think the board really needs to be careful of what policies they're going to start instituting for what goes on in a classroom. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Victor Cooper, 525 Abbott Court. I just wanted to react to the list of groups of people that you saw in the HIB that you were directing it. I thought there were several groups that were missing that would be very valuable to add on to that. One is school drivers. A lot of bullying occurs in school buses. From my own experience, I know that. Also, cafeteria staff, janitors, and security personnel. They all should be added to that list in order to provide a more well-rounded group of people to address the HIB problem. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. You want to respond? Sure.
Mr. Cooper, just so you know, all those groups that you mentioned, they do receive training, even though it wasn't up on the report. But thank you for bringing it to my attention. I will make sure that from now on that all those people are included on the report. Thank you.
Prakash Pura from 33 Dana Drive. We didn't have any update for fair funding today, President. Committee means fair funding committee. Any update?
No, Mr. Chiarella at the last minute had an illness in the family and couldn't be here this evening. But I do believe that he scheduled a committee meeting for the 21st, I believe.
Yes. So we will speak. Just wanted to tell you all, because fair funding is very important. This morning I heard our governor saying that he's going to fully fund the formula. And he said, I was just shocked, there is a $9 billion lack of funding to the schools. The way he's going to bring the property taxes down is by funding the schools completely, means he's looking for that $9 billion. So in the next meeting, I would like to understand if what governor is talking about, and we do have to understand, get a real understanding what he's talking about and how it is going to benefit our schools. So I don't have, that's what I heard on the news. He was there on Channel 5 and he spoke about that. That's good. His main goal is to fully fund the school formula, which is 2008. So that's good. The second thing is homework. Homework is very important. I really appreciate the teachers. They're giving the homework. And at the same time, parents are responsible to make sure that homework is done. But what I see is parent assess, I go and see, I saw today what homework my son has for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It is nothing is there. And then my son came and he's studying. I have homework, I'm studying. So it is good that what homework is there, we parents also know what's going on, because there are 5 homeworks. History, biology, everything. So we want to make sure also the students my child is studying, okay, and I ask him, show me, it is on his iPad, but I cannot see on the parent assist, so it will be good We parents also know that what homework is there for our kids, so we follow on. So it is, as the superintendent said, it's a joint cooperation between parents and the students. But homework is very important. Another one thing, want to see what is the homework policy is. Let us be transparent. We are of the same interest, because don't want to get already the student is preparing for the assigned homework, then 9:30 in the night, a surprise homework come from the email from the teacher, and then they have to study up to 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. So I want to get a real facts on that. I don't have facts. So I appreciate get the facts so that the teachers who are giving the homework, they already know how much they have to study. Already they are assigned a 4 or 5 hours work, and suddenly at 10 o'clock get another 2 hours. Then it throws them off the track, okay? We are all interested to them to have knowledge, grasp the knowledge, okay? So I'll be very thankful if you all follow up on that.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Doug Uchituri, 23 Green Ash Street. This is a follow-up to my last month's question. I asked a status about what are we planning for elementary and high school. I was told that there will be some kind of an update in this meeting. We don't want to run into the same scenario like what happened with the middle school. Just max out and make some kind of a referendum or like last minute quick decisions. Is there any update on the elementary and high schools?
We do not have an update on the elementary and the high school at this moment. We are looking, our focus is in trying to get the middle school accomplished, because that is where the necessary enrollment growth is, and we need to alleviate that. We have 12 trailers coming into the middle school next year, and we need to take that as the first step, and we will be looking at it, but probably not within the next couple of months. Probably not at the end of this year. We'll probably be looking at that more towards the beginning of next year.
My only concern is this is what has been done for the middle school too. Like we were so late in making a call, and I'm seeing the same thing or same pattern happening for both elementary as well as high school too. Like we wanted to avoid that last minute and quick decisions. That's all.
Okay.
And second, it's just a coincidence that my son is having a conference date set through parental portal. One thing that I've observed, the number of students enrolled in this current school, are they matching with the slots that are available? Because my son has been given 2 dates for multiple time slots. I checked, it was open at 7 p.m. a day before, I guess. I came from work a little late, around 8:15, 8:20, came in, all these slots are done. I don't have any slot to choose for the main subjects like language arts, math, and science. Considering the number of students, considering the available slots, I personally believe that we should have a more open dates, or there should be a mechanism. The reason why I'm asking, I can schedule the one-on-one personally a later time, but I may not get on a single date. I have to take the day off for each meeting. Instead, if we add more number of dates, that might be helpful.
Okay, it's something, do you want to respond?
Yeah, I would just, would you be kind enough to tell us which school or schools?
It's a middle school, right now my son is in 8th grade.
Okay.
I'm trying to schedule a conference date for him, and nothing is available for me for 2 dates.
Right.
Everything is gone.
Okay, that's something we're going to have to look into, doing a better job of making sure that everybody gets to have a conference.
Yeah, the reason is the number of students to the slots available should be some kind of a appropriate ratio. Most of the people are interested in these 3 main programs. I do have slots for other classes like in social studies. Not that I don't want to go for them, but these are the main things that we want to focus on, and the dates are not available for me.
Okay.
And the last, regarding the homework portal, like the other gentleman has mentioned, same issue with me too. We are moving towards the technology platform. We wanted to use the app. Somebody was raising about an application app. Does it also support for the parents to view the homeworks on the app? If not, we should consider that as one of the inputs from the parents. Parents should not depend on the kids' response. They should be able to verify by themselves what is scheduled, what is planned, and we want some kind of inputs from the teacher side too, instead of giving it or asking the students to write it down on their paper, had it been on a technology portal or somewhere. So parents can verify it by themselves and make sure the kids are following those homeworks or not.
Yeah.
Well, with the app we're looking, once we purchase the app, if the board approves it tonight, then we're going to look to see, I know that there's a capability of the app to have a parent portal on that. And there's a lot of different things that you can access from the app. I already made a note to look to see how we can have homework listed either on the app or on the app and the website or some other means so that parents will be able to easily see what their child has for homework that night.
One thing I've seen is some teachers follow Google Classes, some teachers update on the staff page.
Yeah.
There's no consistency, and parent has to go into multiple places, if at all, even if it's there. So what we want is, since we are planning to go for an app, there should be a centralized location for the parents to see what is being scheduled for the homework for the following week or for that week.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. We brought Google Drive in and shared docs, and we kind of rolled it out slowly so that some teachers were implementing it, some others were not. We were doing it over a multi-year period or multi-years. But I like the idea that you're suggesting that we have one centralized location so parents don't have to go to maybe Google Classroom for one teacher and something else for someone else. So we'll look into that to see if we can find an easily accessible site for parents to go to. Good point.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public?
Krishna Tekale from 11 Jake Place. First on the middle school, right, the referendum. I've seen that there's a printout that has been put out here. Is that a fact that is posted on the district's website?
Is it on the district website yet?
Not only is it on the district website, but in a couple minutes when the public portion is done, I'm going to bring the website up to show everybody the different components that we have for our website, which is dedicated to referendum, including the plain talk, the questions and answers, well, that is the questions and answers, including the tax impact calculator, all the different features. So we'll do a quick rundown, but it is live. You can get to it now, but you'll be able to see it on the screens in just a few minutes.
Right, that is a great idea, and we need to maintain the, control the media narrative, right? We don't want false narratives coming out that, you failed this referendum twice, state will pay for it. We want to get rid of that. The other suggestion I have is I've also discussed this with a lot of my friends, is we need to have a roadshow just before the referendum, that we need to have the school board members come and visit communities where we can actually set up something. People would come in and it would be an informal session, walk through, understand what their concerns are and how we can alleviate this. We need to get together, parents and the Board of Education, to make sure we win this one.
We're working on that.
Interesting that you brought that up, if I could, Madam President. So on the website as well, I don't know if we have all the locations up, but January and February we have what I'm calling a town hall meeting in different sections of the town, one each week. We are going out right now and working with one of our former board members, Mr. Doug Poy, and we're going into the adult communities. We're looking on November 27th. We're having anybody who would like to come to it. It's a information session, a kind of a training session. We're looking for approximately 100 people in town to train, not to give the information to. A train doesn't sound right, but to give the information to these people as key communicators. And these people would then initiate maybe anything from house parties, if you will, with their neighbors to come in and talk about the referendum, perhaps phone conversations, perhaps their Facebook page to put information up. So we have a lot of that in the works, and starting actually right now. We have a couple dates established already, and we have the January and February dates. And we're hoping to do more of that. If you would like to take part in any of that, I would ask that you contact me at the school district. My email address is on the website, or call. And also think about coming on November 27th. It'll be actually here in the high school, in the media center.
And as an extension to that, right? I mean, it's if these meetings with the community members happen on a weekday, we may not get as many people as we need. What are the options they have? Like, I mean, can we get this done on a weekday or weekend, morning, afternoon? Are there any such limitations?
No, not really. I mean, we're looking at, there are some Saturdays that are planned. During the week, we're looking to have them in the evening at 7 p.m.
Okay.
And we're thinking that by that time, most people are home from work. I also, we haven't worked it out, but I think we'll be able to video stream all of those meetings so that hopefully people can send their questions in. If they're working, if they're at home, perhaps they're working late, they can, thank you, Mr. Gorski. They can send their questions in. So we'll video stream it so that it will be not only the people in, let's say if we hold one here, they can, wherever they're at, they'll be able to send their questions in and we'll be able to provide answers.
And as we move forward and we get times and dates and places, we'll put that on the website and you'll be able to come. We'll also do home parties if you want to have your neighbors come. We'll have somebody here that will come.
And then also, are you looking at sending some flyers or this paperwork along with the student as they break for?
We cannot use the students to promote the referendum.
Okay.
Okay.
And a couple more questions, right?
Oh, your time is up? We'll catch you in the next round.
Hi, Chrissy Skirby, 21 Preakness Drive. Dr. Kozak, the email regarding the meeting on November 27th, is that open to the public? Because the email said it was not a general public presentation, but are we allowed to invite other members of the public to attend?
Yes, please do. We probably could have worded that a little bit better. What we were trying to get across with the public presentation is that wasn't one of the question and answer sessions. We weren't going to be presenting on the referendum. But we do want members of the public to come because we would like to get as many people as possible to talk about a voter registration drive and to talk about, contacting your people in your immediate neighborhood. So, yeah, that wording wasn't the best, I admit. Public presentation, it sounds like it's invite only, but it's not.
Oh, so it's open, we can have
Yes,
other members
and please
come.
do.
Okay, and just real quick, we had a PTO meeting. I'm the vice president of the middle school PTO. We had a PTO meeting yesterday, and the conferences did come up. Parents were talking about that, and it was explained in detail how the school did go through that contractually there are only 44 slots per teacher that is available, unfortunately, and these teachers are teaching anywhere from 130 to 150 students, so everybody cannot get one. We did get several emails and voicemails telling us the procedure and when the portal would open. And I do know that the teachers at the middle school, as well as Mrs. Chanley and the other assistant principals, make it very clear that if anybody does want to have a meeting with a team or a teacher, that they will most certainly make the time to do that. So I just wanted to explain that it did come up at our PTO meeting, and the middle school is doing everything that they possibly can. There's 1,662 students, so every parent does want to come in, and unfortunately, they can't. But I know from my own experience that when I couldn't get a conference and I did ask for a team meeting, I was afforded that. So they do work very hard at the middle school to make sure that the parents are all their concerns are addressed. So I just wanted to clear that up.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification.
Anyone else from the public wish to speak? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public forum and go to the superintendent's report. Dr. Kozak.
All right. Thank you, Madam President. I would like to start out my superintendent report with a congratulations to Ms. Kalapanovich, Mr. Mayo, and Mr. Ryback for their re-election to the Board of Education. So, yes. The Technology Exposition, the Tech Expo, was held last night. Unfortunately, there's so many events held, and it coincided with our coffee house with the students. which is a shame because, we could have used all those students in with the Tech Expo as well. But there were 4 different vendors that came in and presented, Apple, Dell, HP with Microsoft, and a newer company.
Back USA.
Thank you. I just told Mr. Russo and I
BAK.
forgot it. Yeah, Bach or Bach
I think they
USA.
said Bach
Yeah.
USA.
So we broke them out into 4 groups, and they went in for 4 different sessions, and they had a chance to try out the tablets, the laptops, to ask questions, and at the end they filled out a survey. So we're going to compile all that data. We'll put it all together, and right now the 4 vendors are compiling cost estimates, or I shouldn't say estimates, but quotes for the board to consider. That'll be presented at a later time. We talked a little bit about the March 13th, 2018 referendum. I'd like to pull the website up if we could and just go through a couple of the places where you can find that information. So, all right, as soon as it comes up on the screen. But on our district website, there are actually 2 places where you can click, if you will, to link you to, there it is, to the referendum web or pages. So,
Shut the lights.
if it might be better with the lights off, do you think? I don't know if you can see it from the audience. It's hard to see? Oh, you can see it over there? Okay. All right. So if you click on the upper right-hand side or even on the main page, and that'll take you to the referendum website. And on the left, the first column on the left, if you will, is really where all the different sections are. And the opening section is a letter that I put together, we worked on collaboratively with the steering committee, and it kind of gives a broad overview. And then on the left, at the top, we have flyers and publications, and that's where the fast facts are. If you can, just scroll down a little bit. The plain talk is up there as well. Each of those have a link. We're trying to make this as information-rich as possible, as transparent as possible, and as easily or user-friendly as possible. We don't have to go to the next one, but the news and press releases. There is the, I can't see it.
Architectural plans.
Yeah, the architectural plans, thank you. And the enrollment projections, the community presentation schedule. I don't know if we have that up there. Can you click on that, please? Scroll down. Okay, great. So we have our January and February dates up there, and as we add more dates, we will put them on that section of the website. And then on the left side, if you could go to, there's a video and slide presentation. We don't have to go to that yet, or you can. There's stuff coming, and we want to do the video streaming. The next one that I really want to get to is the next link down there, the financial. And if you can find the tax impact calculator. There it is. Okay, and if you open the tax impact calculator, okay, and this is, if you put in your assessed value of your home, it'll tell you what the monthly payments will be, the tax impact of this referendum. So let's put in 300,000 as I'm just pulling a number.
350.
350. Oh, okay. 350,000. A real estate person, absolutely. All right. And if you would, no commas. Calculate that. So the monthly is $12, I believe. And oh, yes. And 144.73, I believe, is the yearly. So no one likes to have a tax increase. I understand that, but as we have more people move in, the ratables will go up, and the cost to build a new middle school to accommodate our crowded conditions, hopefully people will look at that and say, it's reasonable. And it's for a good cause, and it's a good reason. And strong schools equals strong communities, right? I always my pitch. Sure.
What are you basing the calculation on? What is the value of the referendum? I mean, that's
based on, I believe it's the $68.9 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to know. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. But as I said, we're really doing we're trying to make this as transparent as possible. We realize the financial burdens being placed on the local taxpayers, but we are concurrently working to increase our state aid. So hopefully, if the formula is funded and we start receiving more state aid, that'll certainly help everyone. So that's the website, and then I would like to go to personnel, if that's okay. Okay. Thank you. So with that, Madam President, I would ask that the board approve the attached personnel items A through AM.
So moved.
Mr. Ryback, is there a second? Second. Mrs. Lang, any comments or questions for Dr. Kozak? Ms. Arminio, or?
Yeah.
I wasn't. Mr. Russo?
I just had a question on the enrollment, the statistics you have here.
Yeah.
I don't think you have the answer now, but I'm just curious. How many of them are repeats? For example, students that don't move on to the next grade, that come up again as a number. So, you know what I'm saying? If there are 400 kids in a school, and theoretically they should spend 3 years in the school, but they don't make it out in 3 years.
Okay.
How many of those do we have?
So, hopefully it's understood that we're talking high school and that we don't have elementary and middle school students repeating. We haven't run across that situation. In high school, the students who might not pass all their subjects have several options. They can take summer classes, they have to go to another district and they have to pay tuition. There are other ways to make up the credits. I don't have the actual number, but I know what our numbers are at let's say senior year, when we're seeing who's not going to graduate, and it's usually down to a very low number. Usually it starts somewhere around 50 students out of we're talking 2,200, 2,300 students, and that number comes down as they take other assessments to allow them to meet the graduation requirements. But I would say the number of students that stay in high school beyond 4 years, without looking at them, but I mean, Dr. Alvin, I'm going to say like less than 10 maybe. Very, very small. Our graduation rate's pretty good.
4% or so.
Well, yes, and thank you. Dr. Alvick did clarify, we do have students with special needs who stay beyond. They're entitled to stay until they're 21. So that will impact our number, just like any other high school, that will impact that number.
Is there any way we could have that number also included here? The number of, what would we call it? Holdovers, repeats?
It's, I could look into something. It's not an easily defined number, because usually it's by their senior year. If they haven't made, achieved we require 130 credits. So if they haven't achieved 130 credits by their senior year, is usually what we're looking at.
So elementary, junior high, or middle school, there's no holdover, no repeats.
There isn't, but we have a very strong remediation program and intervention program. So we don't leave them dangling out there until the end of the year. We look at that data as early as possible and provide the interventions and the services, whatever the student needs to help that student be successful.
That's a good thing, and I mean, that should be communicated as well, because, yeah, somebody can look at the numbers and then they may say there could be a number of repeats. If you have good intervention programs, that can prevent that, that's good. So only in the high school you may see this repeat.
Yeah, that I'm aware of. I can't think of any in
And
the
if
past
numbers
couple
are-
years for elementary,
And
middle.
Have the numbers been consistent, 4% or so?
Yeah, I would say so. When you look at our, over the past several years, right, the graduation rate and.
I do report that out when I do the data. I've reported out the percentage of non-graduates.
Right. Dr. I was saying, like last month, when she does the assessment data, the park data and other types of assessment, she does report out on that.
So the numbers that we have for the high school, we could say that there is repeats in there every year, basically.
Go ahead, please.
They're not, they're not repeats.
I don't know what's
We
going
call them fifth-year students.
Okay.
So, and there's reasons for that. Either they're in the special education program, as we mentioned, who are entitled to be here until 21 and they're in a transition program, or they're students who have not reached the 130 credits. But they don't stay here those students don't stay here the following year. They have to work to either get those credits or get a GED after that. So either they're taking summer classes and receiving their diploma over the summer,
Okay.
or they're moving on to something else.
Okay, but are
They're
they
not back here in the school.
Okay, are they included in these numbers?
No, because they're no longer our students.
Okay.
The students who are here for special education, yes, are included, but the other students are not. They would have either taken the summer classes, gotten their diplomas over the summer after taking the credits that they need, or they've moved on to either take a GED or something like that.
Okay, so anyone who enters the high school, unless it's special needs, is out in 4 years?
Yes. To my knowledge, yes.
Okay. Okay, I mean, we
Yes.
can only count on your knowledge.
And I look at the list, in fact, I'm looking at the list right now with the high school guidance on our current seniors. And what we're looking at is we take the entire group of seniors, which right now is almost 600 students, and we look at all of the graduation requirements, one of them being the credits that they need, the other one being that graduation assessment. And we have less than 50 students, which includes all of our students, including special ed, that have not passed a graduation assessment at this time. So now through this year, what we do is we work with them to either take the AccuPlacer, or they can continue to take the SAT, and if they pass the SAT, or they can take the ASVAB, which is another alternate assessment. If they don't take those, then we start the portfolio process. Last year, I think we had 15 students take the portfolio process, and then once we get that recommendation, then they've graduated.
Okay, so the special needs kids are included
Yes,
here as repeats or?
yeah, fifth-year students.
Fifth year.
Yes.
And what about any other grades? Are they also?
There really isn't, it's not like they are held back as a sophomore. It depends on the number of credits that they take in high school.
What about in elementary or middle school?
Elementary, we don't hold students back. We move them forward and we give them interventions in order to make them, to help them make them successful.
So nobody held back?
And also, Mr. Russo, I mean, I've been in, I know districts that hold students back. The trend in the past 20 to 30 years has been to not hold students back. The research has shown that, and we were, fortunately, we don't have this experience in this district. But in districts where you have students that are at the elementary or the middle school level that are failing multiple subjects, the research has shown that there's a higher percentage of those students that will drop out of high school than if you advance them to the next grade with the necessary supports and services, or offer them summer programs, either remedial programs, or, that's why we have an extended school year for our special needs students. We don't want that gap in their learning. And it's also another reason why we have such a heavy emphasis on early intervention and identifying those students and offering all these other types of intervention services either during the school day or after the school day to help the students. Okay.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll have a roll call.
Mrs. Arminio.
Yes.
Mrs. DeMayo.
Yes.
Mrs. Lang.
Yes.
Mrs. Carino.
Yes, recuse on AB.
Views on AB. Thank you. Mr. Ryback.
Yes.
Mr. Russo.
Yes.
Mr. Rutsky.
So for everything from A to AM, I vote yes.
A to AM is a yes.
Just for old time's sake.
It took me a while. Thanks. Mrs. Koloponowicz.
Yes.
Madam Board President, personnel items A through AM has passed.
Thank you. Yes.
And
Board
thank you.
action.
Board action. I respectfully ask for the board to approve items A through J under board action.
So moved.
Mrs. Lang? Oh, Mr. Ryback. Are there comments or questions? Mr. Ryback?
I do. On H, policy number 7424, the bedbug policy, I have a concern about the wording. I don't know if it was changed, because I brought that concern up. It says the principal or designee will arrange for a licensed pest management professional.
Yeah, that wording was changed. If it's not reflected in that copy there, it was changed. After you brought that suggestion, the suggestion, just so everyone knows, Mr. Ryback brought it to my attention that in the policy, it states that if a teacher were to discover bed bugs, and just, let's be clear, we have no evidence of bed bugs in the Monroe Township School District. No evidence. Our policy company that we work with sent out this policy to all the school districts that employ them or that use their services to suggest that it's a good to have a policy in the event if there were ever bed bugs discovered. But we do not have bed bugs. I'm just afraid that that'll become a rumor. But Mr. Ryback brought up a very good suggestion. In the policy that Strauss Esme sent out, it stated that should a teacher discover that, they would report that to the principal, who would then contact an integrated pest management. We have a director of facilities who does that work, so we changed it from principal to the director of facilities in the policy.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we'll have a roll call.
Mrs. Arminio.
Yes.
Mrs. DeMayo.
Yes.
Mrs. Lang.
Yes.
Mrs. Carino.
Yes.
Mr. Ryback.
Yes.
Mr. Russo.
Yes.
Mr. Rutsky.
Yes.
Mrs. Koloponowicz.
Yes.
Madam Board President, board action items A through J has passed.
Thank you. I guess
That concludes, thank you.
report,
That
and we will
concludes my
go
report,
to
yes.
the business administrator's report.
Thank you, madam. Just like to stand up for a moment.
Me?
Nope. My Vanna White impression. Thanks to the tenacity of Mr. Jerry Tague and the business office and our administration, we're pleased to present to the board a check in the amount of $377,502. And this is the 40% reimbursement that was approved by the State Department of Education Construction Department for a middle school roof replacement project that goes back to the 13-14 school year. It was a project that was just under $1 million, and the state offered a ROD grant program. Regular Operating District is what it stands for. And we applied, we submitted all the paperwork, we went through all the committees at the time, and we were awarded this money. But the board may recall, just like when we had the $15 million grant for this high school, it was not given up front. It's only refunded after the district expends the money. And that was a very difficult process to get that money as well. But through great persistence, we prevailed, and we have this money now as miscellaneous income because it pertains to previous budget years.
Good news.
And Madam Board President and members of the Monroe Township Board of Education, it is recommended that board action items A through I be approved by consent roll call.
Mr. Ryback and Mrs. Lang. Any comments or questions for Mr. Gorski? Ms. Arminio?
Mr. Gorski, the TransFinder software, we're changing, that has to do with the Transportation Department, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And there are a number of items on that. The 27,000 is the initial cost for the system, because this is a new system for us, is that correct?
Yes, the initial year total fees are $27,500.
Okay.
You could see from the invoice, some charges were waived through
Right.
our negotiations. The first year, the total fee is $27,405. And if I may just elaborate what that's for, there's a labor-intensive installation of this TransFinder software, which is replacing a system that we've had for over a decade called VersaTrans. VersaTrans has not met the satisfaction of our transportation director or our the administrators responsible for submitting state grants, such as the DRTRS report, District Report Transported Resident Students. These reports rely heavily on accurate data from the software system that's very specialized, and the representatives from the company come in and they actually do a routing of the entire school district and develop very accurate maps. And we are very confident that this TransFinder will improve the routing system that I'm certain parents are going to appreciate, because it allows for more intelligently designed routes. For example, you would never split siblings on different routes. Common sense things like that this VersaTrans just could never pick up. It also keeps track of children better for state reporting, the grade levels and the distinguishment between Jamesburg and Monroe, and where the street differentiations are will be better tracked with this software. And also, it offers a great asset in redistricting, which inevitably, with the bond referendum, you will have to engage in a new redistricting, because you have a whole new school and it changes all the zones. And the software is geared up for that, where we did this before with VersaTrans. And I'll just say it was not so much designed for that. And VersaTrans has required an intense labor component from the transportation staff to correct, to override, to make it work type issues that have just become extremely cumbersome.
So my question on the redistricting, the initial year, it says $2,500 for redistricting and school attendance zone planning. And then after that, it says 2 years and future, $300 a year. So that $2,500 is included in the $27,000?
Yes, ma'am.
That's not in addition to?
Correct.
Okay, and I have one other question. The 12-month online training period, my notes say, who participates in that training? Just one staff member who's going to run it, or the department head, who's going to run that?
Yeah, this is more than one person that operates the software, so I'm certain it would be the entire office. Everyone who has hands on this system. It would also probably be some members from my office that rely on this data for state reporting.
And that's in the first year. And then the implementation of services is $13,925. Is that every year after?
No. That's included in the $27,405.
Oh, it is?
For every year thereafter, the charge is only $4,700 per year, which is actually less than VersaTrans, which is $5,400 for annual maintenance.
Okay, and then there's also one more, $995 annual support fees. That's something in addition to the $4,700. But that's support for the software, maybe?
Yeah, that's included in the $4,700.
Oh, okay.
So going forward, the maintenance charge will just be $4,700, which again is less than the $5,400 of VersaTrans charges.
Okay.
And it's a completely better product.
All right, thank you.
My pleasure.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll have a roll call.
Mrs. Arminio.
Yes.
Mrs. DeMayo.
Yes.
Mrs. Lang.
Yes.
Mrs. Carino.
Yes.
Mr. Ryback.
Yes.
Mr. Russo.
Yes.
Mr. Rudsky.
Yes.
And Mrs. Toloponovich.
Yes.
Madam Board President, Board action items A through I has passed, and that concludes the Business Administrator's report. Thank you.
Thank you. We will go to the Board President's report, and I have two things today. The first is the recent Board of Education election, and as president, I've always congratulated everybody who has won election. So I'd like to congratulate Jill and Steve and myself, who was part of their team. I know it doesn't sound good, but for being reelected for another term on the Board of Education.
It's a hard-won campaign, I know.
Yeah. It was. But for the first time in many years, there'll be no change to the Board of Education. And I can't remember the last time that we haven't had a new person on the board. So everybody out there can decide for themselves whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. That being said, all of us needs to put the past behind us and work together. The board, the district, the township, and the community. We're all here because we love Monroe. We want to raise our families here, we want to retire here, and most of all, we want to educate our kids here. So it's our responsibility as a board to do that, and we're all in this together with the rest of the community. The next item is, yesterday we had a steering committee meeting, which included our marketing firm, Interactive Dialogue, and we're at the point where we will, or we already have, put referendum information up on our website, and we will be constantly monitoring that and updating that with any additional information, any questions that need answers, any dates of presentations or anything like that. We have a 2-page fact sheet and a more in-depth plain talk, which is a 10-page Q&A that should answer many of the questions that we've been hearing around the community. And like I said, we will continue to update the Q&A and the website with information as we receive it. So right now, our focus is in getting volunteers for a neighbor-to-neighbor outreach program to do such things as registering voters, making phone calls with information to our neighbors on the referendum, going door to door, handing out flyers, putting postcards or door mailings or door hangings in mailboxes, sitting at community and district events with information on the referendum and things like that. So it's more like a, what can I do to help get the word out to the community? So we're asking anybody in the public who would wish to come, and board members, because this is a board referendum, so we need to get involved also, to come to a meeting that Dr. Kozak has mentioned before. It's a volunteer presentation and training meeting, and will be held on Monday, November 27th at 7:00 p.m. in the Monroe Township High School Media Center. We will have our marketing firm there to help explain what we need to do and how to go about doing it. So I'm hoping we could use a good 100 people to help us out. And so I hope to see many of you there on the 27th, and we need the board to get involved with this also. And that concludes my report, and we'll go to any other Board of Education business. Mrs. Lang?
May I? I have board business. Okay. On November 2nd, Marietta Ruella, our Director of Special Services, and Monica Hines, our Supervisor of Special Services, had invited a group of parents, which we were very fortunate that we had an awesome turnout, to activate our special education parent advisory group. And the parents themselves were awesome about making sure the word got out. So there really was a nice turnout, and parents has made sure that they were there. During the first meeting, Kathy Dillon, a teacher at the high school, came in and talked about the Unified Sports Program, and her enthusiasm is beyond belief. If you haven't had the chance to talk to Kathy Dillon about what she does with our special needs kids, please do so, because she is absolutely incredible. And to hear the different unified sports programs that are going into place and what Falcon Pals is doing and everything, it's a great moving forward for the district. Before the end of the meeting, we were able to kind of set up a date for our next meeting. We finally did get a date. So on December 18th at 6:30 here in the High School Media Center is going to be the next meeting of the Special Education Parent Advisory Group. At that meeting, the parents who are involved, and it's open to the entire community. You don't need to have a child with a special need to come. We'd encourage everybody to come and join, but they're going to decide how they're going to move forward, pick roles as president and vice president and things like that. There's also a training at the end of this month that many of the parents are going to attend so that they really know how to make the special education parent advisory group very effective, because it really is the parents' opportunity for to have a voice in what we do for our classified students. So I wanted to thank the parents who came out, and especially the parents who made sure that they spread the word to lots of other parents. It was a great first meeting.
Is this similar to the former Mount SEPA?
Kind of, yes. It really is. The State Department of Special Education a couple of years ago said this is mandated. Every school district must have a special education parent advisory group, and it's supposed to be, whereas Mount SEPA really was parent run, this is the district along with the parents working together. So it should be really good, and I think there's a great group of parents who really want to be involved. So.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Ryback.
Thank you, Madam President. And Dr. Kozak, I'd just like to thank you both for your congratulatory remarks on our reelection. On a personal note, I really would like to thank the public that voted for me to allow me to continue for another term and give me their trust. I really appreciate it. But along the lines of something that was brought out about school aid, I'm sure all of us and all newly elected school board members received a congratulatory letter from State Senate President Sweeney. But one thing that caught my attention was toward the end, he reiterated his commitment to fully funding the formula and getting state aid out fairly to all the school districts. I know we're ready to work with him and our newly elected and re-elected, I should say, state representatives on this matter. And so, Senator Sweeney, if you're listening, this Board of Education is ready to sit down and work with you and talk about getting our fair share. It's long overdue. Thank you.
Thanks. Ms. Arminio?
I just have a couple sort of follow-up things from past meetings. On August 23rd, 2017, we talked about the land acquisition. Do we have any updates on where that is?
Do you have an update?
Yes. Thank you. At least once a week, I communicate with the mayor and Alan Weinberg, and I ask them for an update on the negotiations because, as you know, the township is the one procuring the land, and the school district is not we're not at the table,
right.
we're not party to it. And the last update that I have were things were going very amicably, and the price was still being discussed, as one previous hurdle has been satisfied, and a resolution to it or a contract could be imminent. So we've heard that before. It's taken a little more time than we expected, but I am very confident still that the situation will be resolved favorably very soon. And we're sure enough that Dr. Kozak and Dr. Alvik and I mentioned the land throughout the referendum materials. This is an integral part of the referendum, and we wouldn't be proceeding if we didn't think this was forthcoming soon.
Maybe we can follow up now that the elections are over. I'm sure a lot of their time was devoted toward the elections, so maybe we could follow up with that as well and get an answer.
I did have a conversation with the mayor last week where he assured me that this was going to happen, and the time was in the near future, not far away. So I don't know exactly what that means by date, but
I just recollect that part of our conversation was we were expecting the land by September, which is already passed by two months. So I'm very concerned about it, and I don't want to get into a situation where we're blindsided again. Now that the elections are over, I hope that all the promises come true. With that said, I would also like, in the October 17th Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting, there was in the notes, we talked about an appeal to the township to waive the water and sewer fees. Have we gotten anywhere with that? Or is that premature because we haven't gotten the?
I don't think we've even had a conversation with them about that yet. We're working on the land, we're working on trying to get the referendum passed, and then we'll work on that when we start to build the school.
Well, when are we getting the trailers? That's the next, that's sort of.
Yeah,
That's what I meant, the water and sewer fees for the trailers.
Just a point of clarification, because I did mention
For the
this.
trailers, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Water sewer connection fees.
Yes.
I have mentioned previously that Mr. Tague and I have had some very warm discussions with the township on the topic. They are open to discussing the waiving of the fees, but we don't know what the fees are yet because the whole design hasn't gotten that far.
Okay, but it's still on the table. I just don't want anybody to forget that.
It's on the table, the door
Again.
was open, and it was warmly received.
Okay, oh, okay, it wasn't hotly debated. It was warm and fuzzy, not hotly debated. Okay, got it. Just checking. Could go either way. Okay. In the steering committee, is the steering committee involved in the architectural plans, or my next question is, who's involved in the design of the middle school? Do we have people specific doing that?
The drawings we have right now are renderings of the basic outline. And I know Dr. Albeck worked with Mr. Tague and you know, the people on that. But really, I would like to say confidently that once the referendum passes, then we really need the input of some of the people that work in the middle school.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, they should have some input. They've been working in a middle school environment. That would be I would like to hear what they have to say about maybe the design or certain aspects of the middle school.
I don't want to get too far involved into the plans
Right.
before we tap into the people, like the administration of the middle school and the people who would be involved. So far, it's loose. There's not really a committee that's constantly talking about design.
No, first step is really to, get that referendum passed. And then that next year is really, going out to bid and getting that together, getting the designs together. I talked to Mr. Goodall. He said that when this school was built, that there were groups of teachers that went to visit maybe South Brunswick or other places and that had input. And we want to repeat that. It's important.
I mean, the people, I always say the people on the ground, the people who are on the front lines are the ones who really have the good ideas. Even, brilliant architects and design people, but the people who are using the facility really have a lot to offer, I think. And I would like to think that keeping them in mind would be a good strategy.
I'm a strong believer in collaboration, and when I've been going around to the faculty meetings and talking to the staff about the referendum project, I have brought that up, especially when I was at the middle school.
How about a suggestion box? I know that's an old-fashioned way of doing things, but you know what? An anonymous suggestion box might be a good idea from the beginning. And I have one more follow-up thing. I believe one of the district goals for the board was increased training. Okay, and a lot of us went to the workshop, and they took an electronic thing. So I'm wondering if we can have the results of that. We don't have to say like necessarily, but if our goal was to do increased training, that's an opportunity to record and report on how many of us took training classes there.
We'll see
And-
if we
and the
can get
training
that, because
class.
we've never gotten that information before.
Yeah, well, they record it
They
with
do.
their, so I would imagine it's somewhere.
Mary Ann Friedman?
Right, we
She
can
give us
contact
all
her and get.
Yeah, I'll get in touch with her.
So that will help us toward our goal.
Needless to say, by her asking me,
Thank
she's
you.
going to win that contest.
No, I'm definitely not, but I just think it's no.
This is a setup.
I don't do that.
Well, that reminds me, Michelle, because when we did the self-evaluations, and they said that you never handed yours in, and you said you did, and I said I never got it. Well, they just found it.
Right.
So I don't know where it's been.
No, it wasn't really their fault. What happened was I filled everything out except the last two questions. I didn't realize they weren't filled out. Then I talked to Mary Ann.
Yeah.
And their tech people found that it was there, just not complete. Then I completed them. I had conversations with her. I completed them, and then they redid it. So it was sort of like human error
So I
on my
asked her to give us a new
Evaluation.
the revised
Right.
evaluation to include your information in
Good.
it.
Yeah, because she said, unlike other evaluations, the board self-evaluation doesn't have a deadline. That's what she mentioned to me.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Can I just bring up two things? So, a couple things happened the last few weeks, not Monroe specific, just school board or school-wise, that I just, it always catches my eye and it always makes me think about what we do and what responsibilities we really have. And so, there was a 3-year-old preschool toddler who had a severe dairy allergy and was fed a grilled cheese, and unfortunately, he passed away. So what a reminder that was of the back and forth we did on the wellness policy, but for all good reasons. And the level of responsibility that's put on administration and nurses and teachers and paraprofessionals is high. And these food allergies are not anything to be, shrugged off and laughed off and taken lightly. And clearly that was a reminder. So I think we were on the right track with that updated wellness policy. And then just either yesterday or 2 days ago, the days blend together, but there was that awful shooting out in California, and the guy was headed right to the school, and by the time he got there, they were on lockdown, and he couldn't enter the school because of that. And so I know it's updated every month on our agenda that our schools are trained in lockdown procedures and the teachers. And again, just a reminder of the level of responsibility that we put on everybody in this district. To keep our kids safe, it's high, and
We're not
should
just
never be taken
teaching
lightly.
anymore, right.
We are not just teaching anymore.
Right.
So that's all I have to say.
Anyone else? Mr. Russo?
Yeah, just on the new construction, whenever it does happen, all these people come up with these ideas, can we have them documented in some way so that, because, when we toured the school here, some of the assistant principals, they were even amazed at how much space they have. I was surprised at how large their offices were. And to avoid that type of thing, we can create a document that they can fill out and express their requirements from a space, location, or operational requirements. This way, at least it's documented, so when they get the space afterwards, there's some justification as to why they have it, rather than them telling you something and then it's done and later on the stories go. The other thing I wanted to do was, this is a good time to do it, was just to challenge the board. This will take a minute. Mainly the committee members. Mr. Rutsky, listen, please.
Mr. Rutsky?
Mr. Rutsky, I wanted to add, to see if they can be creative in some way. Since next couple of months, public will be very interested in everything that goes on the board. If we can add some stuff to the agenda, not that they have to be agenda items, but some information based on the different committees that could be included in here. So, for example, one of the things that I wanted to do was to, we always have the number of students. I would like to have a number of employees, for example, so we can see, we know how many students there are, and we can see the changes, and we can see how many employees there are in the school, and we can break them down by department. I had a list I can send to you of what I wanted, but if that's okay, and if the other committee members can, or even any board member can come up with some idea that can be included on the referendum that would be there for informational purposes for the public. Is that okay?
No, I guess we could look into
Yeah,
the amount of work that would go into, and
It's just a challenge for them to think about it.
Right.
And then make some suggestion. I would like to put this, or we'll put that.
And I think as we go on, I think all of us up here will have information that we will give every month in regard to the referendum. I don't know if we want to put
It doesn't have to be about the referendum. It can be just general information that we might want to include that we think would serve a good purpose for the public if it were included here, instead of just the stuff that's here.
Okay, so you might want to just email us with some of your suggestions, because
That I could do. One of them was the number of employees, but
Right.
yes, there could be others. People might think of some other thing that they want to include here.
Okay.
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 I'll send you mine, and mothers can do the same.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we're back to the public forum. Anyone from the public wishing to speak about anything, please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. And seeing no one, we will close the public forum and go to closed session resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Township of Monroe hereby moves to go into closed session in accordance with the Sunshine Law, Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, NJSA 10:4-6 through 10:4-21, to discuss the following subjects: legal advice regarding SM and RM, OBO, AM versus Monroe Township Board of Education, agency ref number 2017-26162, MTEA negotiations update, harassment, intimidation, and bullying, and personnel matters and legal advice relating thereto. Following closed session, action may be taken. The discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public at such time as the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Need a motion and a second. A motion by,
Second. No, Jill, name does not.
well, I think you were really second. So Mr. Rutsky, Ms. Arminio, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Then we will go into closed session. An hour, 45 minutes?
I'd say at least 45 minutes. to an hour.
Yeah, okay. 45 minutes to an hour. Okay, at this time, the board will come back into public session. And I have a resolution to read. A resolution authorizing settlement with family and student identification number 85750 pursuant to NJAC 6A:3-1.13 parentheses D parentheses, November 15, 2017. Whereas NJAC 6A:3-1.13 parentheses D parentheses requires that a Board of Education provide a resolution authorizing settlement indicating that the District Board of Education has consented to the terms of the settlement. Be it resolved that the board hereby consents to settlement with family and student identification number 85750 pursuant to the terms of the release and settlement agreement attached hereto, and authorizes the Board of Education President, Ms. Kathy Kolopanowicz, to execute agreement on behalf of the board. I need a motion and a second. Ms. DeMayo?
Second.
Mr. Ryback, any comments or questions? Who is taking the roll call?
I am.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. I'm not as fast as Mr. Gorski.
Okay.
Okay. Ms. Arminio.
Yes.
Mr. Mayo.
Yes.
Ms. Lang.
Yes.
Armino's not here. Mr. Ryback, yes. Mr. Russo's not here. Mr. Rutsky.
Yes.
Mrs. Kolopanowicz.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And how many yays are they?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yeas.
Okay. 6-0. Okay, I think that's the only resolution on the agenda. So, there's nobody in the public, so we will go to our next scheduled Board of Education meeting is Wednesday, December 13, 2017, 7 o'clock p.m. at the Monroe Township High School. Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Mr. Rutsky,
Seconded.
second by Ms. Lang. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Then the meeting is adjourned.